What's going on, alfieboyfit from alfieboyfit here. We are back with another video. Welcome back to another video. This video we're gonna cover why I was driven to leave the Marine Corps. But real quick, if you are not subscribed, subscribe. Thank you to all the new subscribers. I do appreciate all the support. I love y'all. Y'all are driving force to keep doing this YouTube thing. I'm not gonna lie, there are some days where I just feel like quitting because I feel like it's not growing as fast as I want to, but you guys are making it worth it, so I appreciate it. Also, those post notifications, make sure you hit that bell down below, that thumbs up button, make sure you smash that. Let's break a record of 2 likes in this video. Also, the GoFundMe down below, that's just to help build the desk. I'm actually going to currently do a video on until I have it powered, everything placed and painted. And then I'll do a final video after that with the glass on and kind of like a montage type video. But without further ado, let's get into why I was driven to leave the Marine Corps. I got a couple points. I already drank my pre-workout, so I don't sit here and talk too long. So if you don't know, you'll know now. But I spent 5 years in the Marine Corps. I joined in March of 2014. And I got out in March of 2019. And in my time in, I had a good time. I have nothing really too major to complain about. It definitely taught me a lot. I learned a substantial amount of information from quite a bit of people, but very quickly I did learn that that was not the lifestyle that I wanted to live. It kind of all started just after I got to the fleet. Now, if you don't know what the fleet is basically once you finished all your training and now you're doing your job that you signed up for in the Marine Corps. So with that, for me, it was a helicopter tilt rotor dynamic component technician, whatever. I was a mech on helicopters. My specific MOS, I was branched off into what's called eye level, which is the middle level of the 3 levels of maintenance. So I wasn't actually on the flight line. I wasn't actually on the helicopters when I wasn't deployed. When I was deployed, we were, but not deployed. I was in my own little shop off of what's called the flight line, and then the parts came to us, we worked on them, and we sent them back. That's how it was. So doing that job, that is considered the fleet. I was a fleet Marine, and where am I going with that? Oh, that's where it all started, was in the fleet. Within 3 months of being in the fleet, I experienced, I don't know if I should say all this. Within 3 months of being in the fleet, I experienced some things that I was told that I would come across, and I did very fast. I did very quickly experience these things, and it was kind of like a culture shock to me. I'm sure everyone's heard their stories or heard stories from other people, but it's along the same lines of what you would experience as a freshman in college, if that paints a better picture for you. So that's what I was faced with very fast. I did not succumb to anything. I did not get peer pressured into anything, but some guys that I know did. And those actions turned into severe consequences very, very fast. I was part of a public NJP, which is basically the highest ranking officer comes down to a formation and belittles, whoever got in trouble for whatever they got in trouble for. And if you do have the chance to experience one of those, I don't imagine any civilian ever would, but active duty or even reservist, if you ever experience one of those, it's kind of life-changing. I was never like a bad kid or whatever, so not that I had anything to worry about, but the guys that I saw get in trouble, it was brutal, man. So that was kind of like the first instance as to, I don't want to keep being a part of something like this. And that's all the name of the game. Marines, we work hard but play harder type thing, and that can only go so far, because then you start to get in trouble and the things happen that shouldn't be happening. So that was that first instance. And then along with that, there were a couple guys that tried to place blame on other people, and then it turned out to be a mass punishment, and that leads me into my second thing, mass punishment. Someone can do the smallest thing, and to an extent, I agree with mass punishment. A part of me is okay with it, but a huge part of me is not, because someone can say someone drives on base drunk, that's a DUI. Well, now the entire base has to, in order to get off base, this is just an example, but in order to get off base, every single person that leaves between the hours of 8 p.m. and say 5 a.m. has to be checked at the gate, like thoroughly checked, i.e. a breathalyzer, an actual ID check, a vehicle check, seat belt, drugs, whatever the case may be, but every single vehicle between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. has to be checked, and that would be considered a mass punishment. That's on a very large scale. So if we dial it down a little bit, let's go to a unit mass punishment. So say one person in the unit gets busted for, let's say they pop on a drug test. Okay, well now in some higher ranking officers' eyes, well, let's test everybody every single day for a week to see if we can catch other people. I agree with that, with trying to catch other people, but what I don't agree with is in order to test over 800 people every single day to see if they're popping on drugs, you're now taking away from Marine Corps side of it, and you're taking away from what we all called man hours and maintenance. And that was a big thing with the unit that I was with, was putting in the man hours to make sure that we're getting the maintenance done. Because in some cases, you know, we weren't looked upon like as a top unit, which, you know, and that same thing happens in the civilian side. Not every job you go with is going to be looked at as the top job. So a mass punishment was taken away from man hours, was taken away from key elements to doing what we signed up to do. So that's why I don't agree with it, is because it was taken away from what we should be doing. But I agree with it because they're trying to weed out the people that are doing the illegal activities. And that was almost like it seemed like an every month thing that was happening. And every other month for 4.5 years, it starts to take a toll on, do you want to keep doing this? And it wasn't just the lower ranking people that got stuck with this. It was enlisted and it was officers. So just because you were higher ranking, you didn't escape, you know, what we call it? You didn't escape the green weenie. It didn't matter who to this day, from day one to if the Marine Corps ever, for some reason, just is no longer a thing, the green weenie will find you. It does not matter. Then that leads me into my third sort of topic, is camaraderie, or like unit cohesion. So within the unit, there's different departments, just like within like Amazon, within Microsoft, within, you know, Walmart, whatever. It's essentially the same thing in the Marine Corps or in the military period. There's different branches, different departments, different units. And each unit, of course, they're gonna enjoy doing certain things. They're gonna enjoy certain people from other units and this and that, this and that. In the Marine Corps' eyes, everyone is supposed to be together. There should be no division, there should be no this, there should be no that. But at the end of the day, and it seems to be increasing more and more and more, is almost like a segregation of people and a segregation of units. So you have one unit that does one thing with helicopters, but they don't like a different unit because they don't do what they do. And then that unit doesn't like the flight line unit because, you know, they have it easier on the weekends, or they don't work as many hours, and it only seems to get worse and worse and worse. And I personally think it started with the whole you're a pogue, you're a grunt type thing, and that will always be a thing. Pogue is someone, there's many different acronyms, but the acronym I'm going to use for this hopefully one day monetized video is people other than grunts, or personnel other than grunts. And basically, if you're not a grunt in the Marine Corps' eyes, if you're not a grunt on the front line shooting people, doing this, doing that, then you really don't matter. But in all reality, and the bigger painted picture, hashtag Bob Ross, you know, the grunts wouldn't be getting nowhere without the helicopters. The grunts wouldn't be getting nowhere without the boats. So, I mean, really, does it matter who's a grunt and who's not? And then, so that, I think that's kind of where it all started. And then I guess some more part of the unit cohesion thing would be, you have certain people in certain divisions or certain branches, enlisted and officers, senior enlisted and junior Marines, that become buddy or like best friends because of their age, or because of certain activities that they take part in on the weekends. And then that comes down to what's called fraternization. And that's gone away in my eyes and many other people's eyes, and a huge chunk of the Marine Corps. It's no longer a thing. When I first got to the shop, it was a thing. But then as personnel changed, as different people came into the shop, as different people left the shop, it kind of went away, and you have junior Marines hanging out with, not just after work, or you have junior Marines hanging out with senior enlisted or even officers. That turns into, okay, well, if I'm best friends with them outside of work, now I don't have to show the same respect while I'm at work. And then you have people that don't know how to separate work from play, and that can be a huge problem. And I'm seeing it firsthand with people that I'm close with now, that they're having a hard time, not them, but other people, and they're like junior Marines or whatever it is, they're having a hard time distinguishing between work and play. So if the defining line is an E3, which is a Lance Corporal, to an E4, that's where the fraternization really takes a toll, and that's just one rank up. So imagine you've been an E3 or a Lance Corporal for 3 years. That was me. Then I get promoted, I'm now an E4 or a Corporal. Okay, well, now I'm now an NCO, and I have non-NCOs. One day they're my, you know, my best friends, because I've been with them for 3 years, and now the next day I can't talk to them in a friendship level. We can't be friends like that, because it's considered fraternization in the Marine Corps' eyes, and it's actually a punishable offense if the wrong person sees it, or if the wrong person pushes that paperwork through. And it sucks, because then you go from having all these people that you're close with to moving up in ranks, which is a positive, but now you have to not find new friends, but you have to find a new niche. You have to find a new clique with the new NCOs, and you don't know those NCOs on level, and you know, the Marine Corps' eyes, you don't know those NCOs in that level, because as a Lance Corporal, you weren't supposed to know them. And that's how it was when I first joined. That's no longer the case now. So unit cohesion, camaraderie, fraternization, I mean, it all ties in, and it sucks that, I don't know if it's just because, you know, like I said, change is inevitable, and it was bound to happen at some point, but I can't pinpoint what exactly the cause of it is. What I kind of all reverted back to is just change is inevitable. You kind of gotta hop on with that change train and be ready for the ride, or fight it for as long as you can. And I think the longer you fight it, the more you'll find that you'll be out of place, and the Marine Corps just is not for you. It's not that I wasn't down with the change, because I accepted that change, and I had no problem with the whole, these are my friends one day, these are not my friends the next. These are now my junior Marines, I am their superior, what I say should go type thing. I had no problem with that. And I had no problem taking orders from guys that I was, you know, friends with outside of work, and then also treating them like my staff NCO at work, or my even, you know, superior one rank above at work. I had no issue with that, but I'm not the only one in the Marine Corps, and there's other guys that had the same mindset as me, that they're also not the only ones in the Marine Corps. It's the mass public, it's the mass majority of people that are ruining it kind of for everybody else, because now all junior Marines have this bad stigma, like, oh, well, every junior Marine thinks they can be best friends with, you know, said Marine, or this officer, or this, that, because they hang out on the weekends, or because their best friend is, you know, the sister of this person. And it ruins a whole lot of relationships, or it has the potential to ruin relationships. And they kind of like the finalizing factor on what pushed me to get out of the Marine Corps, and this isn't everything, these are just like some major topics, but what finally pushed me out was realizing the opportunities that I have outside the Marine Corps, as far as a job goes. Recently, probably with like 2 years before I got out, Boeing, which is the big helicopter company, they recently moved to Miramar, like actually on the base, and they are taking in a lot of prior service Marines or sailors or whatever it is as civilians. So whatever job you did as a Marine, you can keep doing as a civilian, as a contractor. And that's a fantastic opportunity, because what you're making in the Marine Corps, you could almost double as a civilian doing the same exact job you were doing. And some days you can work less hours, but you can also get paid overtime. So you don't get overtime in the military, nobody does. but you can work from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. and if you want, you can get paid overtime from 2 p.m. to say 5 p.m. or 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. and I'm pretty sure it's time and a half or it's doubled. I'm not entirely sure, but I know it's more than what I'd be making if I was still in the Marine Corps. And then on top of that, you can go to school. Some companies, I just came across this lady yesterday. She saw the patches in my trunk and she said, not yesterday, a couple days ago, but she said, hey, you know, were you in, just asking off your patches? And I was like, yes. And she said, what'd you do? I said, I was a helicopter mechanic. And she said, oh, cool. I work at North Drop Goldman or North Drop Gunman or whatever it's called. And she said, we're looking for helicopter guys. She asked what was I doing now, and I said I'm going to school, full-time, you know, GI Bill, whatever. She said, oh, you can do that same thing at our company. We'll pay you to go to school and you can still use your GI Bill. Do you understand how much money that would be in my pocket? Now, I can't just, you know, get up and say, okay, well, let me drop my application with you right now and let me go do that. I got, you know, other responsibilities to take care of or to push in other places. But it's just those opportunities like that that pop up almost out of nowhere. And it's only because she saw the patches in my trunk. So it's something as simple as that. And I have a bunch of friends now that are doing the whole Boeing thing. I have a bunch of friends that didn't work with me here, but they worked at other places, that are also still doing the contractor thing, and they're flying to Hawaii or they're flying to Japan or they're flying to Afghanistan or Iraq, and they're making all this crazy money. And if money is what you're seeking, if money is your end goal, getting out of the military, there are plenty of opportunities, especially with my background now and my, I guess you could say, expertise in helicopter mechanics. Even airframes or dynamic components or structural repair, it doesn't matter. It's just that simple title of a helicopter mechanic, and I had the paperwork to prove it, puts me in a whole array of places. And like I said, if the money is what I'm chasing, if the money is what you're chasing, and you're doing something of a civilian side profession, the military is not everything. The Marine Corps is not everything. There is life outside of the Marine Corps. And so many people just have this mindset of, well, I'm in now and this is all I know, so I'm gonna just keep doing it. You know, I mean, better on you, because there's a huge security, there's a huge, you know, financial blanket, financial security, medical, dental blanket that you do take on when you are in the military. You don't have to worry about anything. You're guaranteed a paycheck every 2 weeks. You're guaranteed medical attention. You're guaranteed dental. Like, there's so many things that you are guaranteed, and the perks that come with it, it does pay off. But you shouldn't have in your mind that this is the only life you can live, because then what if there's something you missed out on? What if there's something, I might have missed out on something in the Marine Corps. I honestly don't think that, but there is something that could have happened in the Marine Corps to better. I was talking with some guys previously a couple days ago, and they told me I'm not missing out on anything. They say things seem to be getting worse as it goes, and I kind of saw that coming with, you know, the things I just mentioned to y'all prior. So I feel like I got out at a pretty pristine time. I got approached by that lady with a whole job opportunity, and it's really, you know, it's what you make of it is what it comes down to. The Marine Corps, the military, is what you make of it. If you go in with a bad mindset, you're gonna have a bad time. I didn't have a bad time. I didn't have a bad mindset. A lot of stuff did suck. Death by PowerPoint was brutal. Every year, almost every other month, for a countless amount of hours. Orders were always changing. Uniform regulations changing. What we could do within our shop changing, you know, having to put on the front because someone of an extremely high rank was coming around, changing, field daying, you know, just almost like the traditions of the Marine Corps. They were always changing, or if it wasn't a tradition, it was something that was trying to be brought in, and anything in the Marine Corps that's a change takes years. So that's some of the big reasons why I got pushed to not stay in the Marine Corps. This is no way, in any way, trying to turn you down from joining any branch of the military. I have respect for all branches. I have some friends in the Army. I have obviously countless amount of friends in the Marine Corps. My brother, my uncle was prior Air Force. My brother is currently in the Air Force. I have a real good friend that left the Marine Corps and a couple hours later joined the Navy. So respect for all branches. It's just, in anything, that you do in life comes down to what you make of it. And if you have a bad mindset, you're gonna have a bad time. That's how it goes. And if you can't hack it, if you can't tell yourself like, hey, this is the positive in what I'm doing, this is the positive in today. If you can't tell yourself that, then that profession, that job, that occupation, that activity, that's not for you. You have to be able to find the good in something, because if you can't, you're gonna have a bad time. So I'm pretty sure that wraps up everything. I'm gonna do maybe another video on why I joined, kind of go through like the little story of how that happened, because it's kind of funny in a way. I mentioned it prior about walking into college and walking out, because I just couldn't, at that thing I couldn't hack, and I wasn't gonna try and force myself. So that's a pretty prime example right there, because I would have had a bad time in school. Like right now, I'm in school and I don't walk in with a bad mindset. I walk in, kind of expecting whatever happened to happen, and I'm not having a bad time. I'm, speaking out in public, I'm talking to people in class, and I'm, presentations, whatever, and I'm having a fun time with it, making the best of it that it is. I'm getting out of it what I put in it, and that's a lot of stuff in life. I'm gonna stop rambling on. That concludes this video. Stay tuned for next week. I do appreciate all the support. Again, make sure if you were not subscribed, subscribe. Make sure you smash that thumbs up button. Remember, I said let's break a like goal of 2 likes. So if we can get more than 2 likes, we broke the goal. And those post notes, make sure you hit that bell so my videos go to you and you don't have to come to the videos. But if you want, you can tell your friends to just look up alfieboyfit on YouTube and I'll pop up. I love y'all. Alfieboyfit, we out.